Pop the top, it's time for the video to drop. And today, I'm going to go a little bit into detail about how I go about crafting Phoenix Nitro's promos for the My Career Universe series. It's a video topic that a lot of people have wanted me to cover for a little bit now. But before I get into that, real quick, in the comments section right now, comment down below, who is your favorite promo to listen to? Like, who is your favorite wrestler ever to cut promos? I'm expecting to see a lot of Stone Cold Steve Austin's probably in the comments section. My personal favorite, well, I'll get into that in a little bit. But going right off the bat, how do I go about crafting Nitro's promos for the WWE 2K19 My Career Universe series? And the answer simply is, I don't really do much except speak, if that makes sense. I don't write anything down. I don't write a script. I don't do anything along those lines. I just hit record and start speaking from the hip. But how I go about, like, getting comfortable, I guess is a good word for promos. How I go about getting into a flow. Well, the best thing that I can tell you, if you're very stuck on, like, how do I get into a promo? Have an intro, have an outro. No, I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm talking about ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of the brainwashed generation. If you noticed, I would always start my promos off with that, and I would always end my promos with, and you have all, or some way going into it, have been trained to obey. Whether it be Johnny Gargano, you will be trained to obey. Johnny Gargano, you have been trained to obey, etc., etc. I always knew I would end my promos with train to obey, and I would always start with the intro. The reason why is because it gives me a good point. I know how I'm always going to end something. I know how I'm always going to get into something. And then the middle kind of just comes to me. Now, I know a lot of people usually write out bullet points, and I've done that a few times where I'm basically like, all right, I need to cover this, this, and this. Case in point, the promo where I announced that the Mania Triple Threat match was happening with Brandon and Aaron, I wrote out 2 bullet points that I knew I needed to hit. That is that at WrestleMania, it was going to be a 2 falls to a finish match, not a normal triple threat, not an elimination match. So writing down bullet points will help you out in terms of spacing and in terms of getting what you need through, if that makes sense, in terms of getting every point you want to make out. Now, if you need to write your promos, that's completely fine. There is nothing bad about that. It's all about delivery. If you can sound non-robotic while doing it, then go ahead and do it. Personally, for me, I find that it's kind of difficult for me to read a script in the sense of it's difficult for it to sound like it's coming from me, if that makes more sense, because of the fact that I've just not written a script in so long for a Nitro promo that I just haven't had enough practice at not sounding very, very formulaic with it or very robotic with it. And that's something I'd love to improve on, but at the same time, I kind of just like speaking from the hip when it comes to my Nitro promos. Now, another thing that I feel like a lot of people should know about promos is that at least in my opinion, obviously there's a lot of ways to paint the damn picture, obviously. Everyone is a different painter, everyone has a different style. However, to me, with a promo, you should never bury your opponent. You should never take your opponent and say like, oh, they're the worst professional wrestler of all time, blah, blah, blah. They can't get it done in the ring, yada, yada, yada. They have no skill whatsoever about them. Why? Because any lick of offense they get on you at that point, then whenever the match happens, then the people are going to go, wait a minute. You just said that this guy is this bad, yet he's doing this, that, and the third to you? Like, no. You don't ever want to put your opponent and bury them. You want to put them over, if anything. You want to say, hey, yes, I understand, Johnny Gargano, that you are one of the absolute best professional wrestlers going today. But you know what? Whenever I step into that ring with you, I am going to show that I am just as good, if not better, because I am better than you. Like, you want to do something simple like that, obviously. It's going to be something very, very easy in the sense that, hey, you're putting them over so that way anything you do, the people are going to be like, oh, well, he said that he was the greatest of all time, and he's really landed it on him. Maybe this guy's the greatest of all time instead. So then, boom, bada bang, bada bam, there you go. That is basically how I've done all of Nitro's promos. I don't think I've actually buried anybody on a promo before, at least in my 2K19 My Career Universe. And the reason why is for the point that I just made, that I've never wanted anyone to be like, oh, the guy Nitro's facing sucks. No, I want you to think that they are one of the best going today, because I want everyone's perception of the matches Nitro has, at least when it comes to storylines and feuds, to be, oh, this guy's one of the absolute best. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to basically I guess putting over your opponent is a big tip. Putting over your opponent and not burying them would definitely be the biggest tip. Like right now, I'm not writing a script for this. I'm just going off of what I think about whenever I'm doing my promos. And it's kind of helped me out when it comes to doing this because it's more so like, I don't want to say another big tip is to practice, 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 because I feel like that's kind of like, you already know that in a way. However, practice, practice, practice. The more practice you do when it comes to your promos, the more comfortable you'll be with speaking. And the more comfortable you are with speaking, the better your promos will become because you'll be able to find little ways to get in and out of different sentences, in and out of different phrases. Now, if you're cutting a babyface promo, the best way that I can like give any advice is to really go and look at a lot of, if you're into comic books, go and look at a lot of comic books and a lot of ways that they go into stories when it comes to comic books. Because doing that, you'll see that a hero can have many different layers. A hero can very, very much so be layered up differently than what anybody else can be when it comes to fiction. Because a hero can have so many different ways to show off why he is such a hero and why he is the good guy of the story, if you will. And there's so many different ways you can go into that. And I mean, on the flip side, the same thing with a heel and a villain. You can do so many layers to get inside of that. There's no right and wrong way when it comes to doing promos. Like, I can't really come on here and be like, hey, do this, this, that, and your promo is going to be amazing, because that's not always the case. What I've noticed that is, I feel like you can't really teach how to talk, if that makes sense. You can't really teach how to cut a promo either, but you can give tips and tricks of how to get there. In my opinion, professional wrestling promos, the best people at promos are the guys and gals that just tell stories. They're just speaking, it's therapeutic, they're having therapy. It's very therapeutic in the sense that they're getting a lot of things off their chest. They're telling their own story. They're giving real life reasonings for things that happen to their characters. One of my favorite promoers going today is Eddie Kingston. For those of you that watch the independent scene and those of you that don't, look up Eddie Kingston, look up any promos that he cuts. This man speaks straight from the heart. This man speaks straight from different things that have happened in his life. And a lot of the times Eddie Kingston talks about it when his promos. He's just speaking from the heart. It's just therapy for him. He's talking about real life occurrences that have happened in his life, and he translates that into the emotions into his opponent, and he basically can get you into the building by talking up those experiences, but replacing the who with his opponent, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're there with a very heartfelt promo. And it's something that, in my opinion, is lost on a lot of people because they'd rather, what's the word I'm looking for? They'd rather try and play make-believe in a sense. And for me, a lot of my Nitro promos stems from a lot of stuff that I've done, dealt with in real life, and a lot of emotions I have in real life. Like if I'm angry one day, I remember one day in the Vibe House, I was very aggravated, very angry about something that was going on in my personal life. And what I did was I came home, immediately turned on the recording, and immediately cut a mean promo. And it was one of my best promos to date because that's real emotion that is coming out on the microphone. That's real emotion that you're letting out. And the realer you can be, in a sense, the realer you can portray to be, I guess is a better way of putting it, in a fake scenario. The realer you can portray to be in a fake scenario, the better it is. The better you sound, the better overall you'll have a time when it comes to cutting a promo. And absolutely, to me, there is nobody better at that than Brian Pillman, and he was one of my absolute favorites to listen to when it came to promos. If you go back and listen to any Brian Pillman promo from WCW all the way up to through ECW and the WWF before his passing, he was just such a master at cutting promos. Another great guy when it comes to bringing in realism and bringing in other real life experiences and just translating that into different scenarios when it comes to professional wrestling. Mick Foley was an absolute god tier promo. Terry Funk, absolute god tier promo. And these are just some of the guys that I listen to and that I go back and watch a lot of. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin, his ECW run, I was looking at a lot of material for that whenever I was using the Phoenix Nitro babyface run. And I know we're about to come up on the ending match here, the ending time, I should say, of the match. But real quick, to, I guess, put all my words into a lasting impression, I guess, or a lasting lesson, I suppose. When it comes to cutting promos, speak from the heart and you can't go wrong. Like, just think if you're trying to be mad in the promo, think of something that got you so irate, so angry, so mad that it just gets you still riled up, and then boom, cut your promo right after that. If you're trying to cut a sympathetic promo, think of something very sad. Get very, very sad in the sense of like, oh, kind of like method acting, I guess would be the best way of saying it. Just get in your character's head and bada bing, bada boom. I can't really advocate anything else in the sense of like, oh, you need a catchphrase. You don't really need a catchphrase. I mean, Phoenix Nitro has I say a lot of damn things in repetition with Nitro. However, like, there's different reasons for it. Going into the backstory about why I do certain things with Nitro, maybe this will help out a lot of people. For influences for Nitro's promos, I was looking into a lot of, what's the word for it? I don't really think there's a term for it, but like late night, like early morning, religious programs with preachers and stuff like that. I just would watch a lot of that content on YouTube, like look up old style like preachers, etc., and listen to the way that they talk, listen to the way that they form their sentences and the cadence that they had with their words. Because for Phoenix Nitro's 2K19 character, I really wanted the Brainwashed Generation to feel like a cult in a sense, as weird as it is to say. And I feel like I got that down in the early goings when it came to the heel run a lot. And then, of course, with the babyface turn, I could not at all go with anything that I was going with before. So that's why my promo style, in a sense, changed. It didn't really change too much. I didn't really evolve it too much in that sense. However, now, going into 2K20, and I know this is a little bit of a teaser because I can't really talk too much about it. Going into 2K20, this is the last tip I'm going to talk about. Research, research, research. Whatever character you're trying to portray. If you're trying to portray a heel that's like a sociopath, look up a lot of sociopaths. Look up a lot of like police interviews, interrogation interviews with sociopaths, etc. Look at their cadence. Look at the way that they're talking. What words are they saying? Are they very smart? Are they very dumb? Like, what's their dictionary? Are they using a lot of adjectives? Are they using a lot of verbs whenever they're speaking, etc.? Look at little stuff like that makes characters. Little stuff like that can take your character from just being like, oh, it's just a typical wrestling guy, to, oh, this is a really fleshed out character. Now, I know that I didn't really give too much like help when it comes to like, oh, this is how you're going to be great at promos. But at the same time, I feel like when it comes to promos, there's not really a right and a wrong way to do it. And I said it at the very beginning of the video that there's many different ways to paint a portrait. There's many different ways to paint a painting. And you can't really paint by numbers in a sense. You just got to find your style and you just got to flow with it. And once you find your style, man, it's such a dope thing because then you'll be able to talk and talk and talk and talk. I think the longest promo I cut on the channel for Nitro was like 11 minutes long. And that's absolutely baffling. And you should never do that realistically. But with the cult leader that I was trying to portray Nitro as, I noticed that a lot of like long-winded, rambling style promos, kind of like Bray Wyatt around 2013, 2014. I felt like that really worked out well for Nitro style, so that's why I was doing that. But yeah, man, just find your style and you'll be able to really start crafting up something special. But nevertheless, guys, that'll wrap it up for this one here today. If you guys found this at all helpful, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new because we're on the road to 13,000. If you already subscribed, hit that bell so you just tell me we upload. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And as always and forever, take it easy, though, guys. I'm about to go play some more Borderlands. Peace!